not,
Make sure.
I'm gonna try not to slice my other hand today.
No, I slice. You know what? I've sliced myself a lot in the hands. Not training. I worked as a butcher for years as a butcher. I cut my hand all the time. I mean, my hands were so cold from holding the cold meat to cut it that I didn't even feel it sometimes. I was like, oh shit, I cut myself again. I cut myself again. It's so cold, the meat. When you usually cut it, it's got to be a little cold. So you get in this cold. I hate it. It's the worst job I ever had. Couldn't stand it. Anyway, hey Eric, how are you? Yeah, so let me just kind of give you guys a little bit of what I'd like to do this week. You know, after a while, we study martial arts from a kind of a defensive perspective, right? So in other words, I mean, somebody's punching us, somebody's grabbing us, a grab and escape drill where there's something coming at us. And we rarely go on the offensive side of martial arts, right? Like usually the offensive side is like, you know, boxing, you know, like it's, you know, guy that's always throwing punches. Another guy is kind of a, you know, they call him a weaver and stuff. Because actually, can you mute whoever? I don't know if you can mute so we don't get crosstalk on the thing. One sec. There we go. That's better. Okay. So to have an offensive minded personality, people usually associate with like an aggressive behavior, right? Like somebody's always going for it. You know, if I'm a business guy, I'm like the mover and the shaker, and you like the snaps. This is you got to practice that. And the same with martial arts. If you're an offensive minded person, usually you're quite aggressive, right? But I'm going to show you guys, if I can today, how not to be aggressive, but be forward. Like be forward minded. Like I guess more like that your mind is not always like waiting for something, but that you go forward. And this is a real gift if you can get it, but it's not easy. Okay, we're going to start with breathing. And then I'm going to show it to you with a weapon, because weapons training is very good, with knife specifically, right? Very important. It's very similar. Like I'm going to exercise, like instead of I want to feel good today, which a lot of is like, I want to feel good. I'm going to exercise to be a strong old man, like way ahead of it. Like I'm going to eat good today so that I live a long life. Like how many of you take that perspective when you exercise? That's very unique, right? It's a good idea, but not many people actually work out from it, right? That's what I do. You know, I'm 52. I want to kick some guy's ass at like 80. I just want to thoroughly pummel his ass at 80 years old. And then I'll be like, yes, I started this in my 50s, you know, like I swear. And if you don't think it's possible, I'm going to introduce you to a dude that trains here that did it. Okay, and how I know, because you guys know him, there's Do Jordan, right? How many of you, all the guys, whether Jake, you know Jordan, and Alberto, you know Jordan. This dude at 80 years old beat up 3 guys in Bulgaria. And you know how I know? Because his son, my age, told me about it. Couldn't believe it. I said, Jen, that's cool. Jordan, I want to be that guy one day. 3 guys crossed my path when I'm 80, and I beat him up. Anyway.
I miss that guy, man. I miss him.
I know. All you guys miss him. I miss him. Trust me. He's an awesome dude, because he was, now a quick story about Jordan. Okay. For those of you who don't know, when I was 25, he was 50. Okay? He was much older than me. Okay. At the time when I first started training, I was young, fit. I was tough as nails. Don't look at me now, falling apart. I wrestled with this dude.
Young and full of gum.
I wrestled with this dude, and I couldn't believe I couldn't get him. I couldn't get this guy. I couldn't flip him. I could barely choke him. And finally, I made him tap out by grabbing his ankle. And he laughed. He goes, you found my weakness. He goes, I have bad ankles. And this dude was, who is this 50-year-old dude, man? I was blown away. He was tough, and he was a life. Sorry, guys. Somebody called. He was a lifetime student. And when I met his son not too long ago, he told me, he goes, my father, beside his bed, has a stack of books this high. He goes, all martial art books. He reads about martial arts. That guy started martial arts when he was 20, when he hit the military in Bulgaria. And he's now 70, 50 years, and he's still studying martial arts. I said, I want to be that guy. I want to always be studying and relearning the things I know and rediscovering the things I know. And the offensive side of martial arts is a place that is usually reserved for aggressive people or ego. So how can I be forward minded and still not be aggressive and not be like that? How can I do that? And I've been playing with this concept, and I think I found something pretty special, and I'd like to share it with you guys today, okay? Because it will I think help your training go to some unique places. Is that cool? You guys good with that? Okay, so you can, I'm going to stand, but you can do it any way you like, right? You always, so stay nice and straight, or you can be sitting, whatever you feel comfortable with, right? And you're going to breathe. Now, I always teach you guys, when you breathe, to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, and to kind of feel your breath in your body, right? I now don't want you to do that. I want you to breathe, and I want you to feel like the outside. So I want you to feel like you're taking air that's here, you're bringing it in, and then you're exhaling and bringing air here. So you're not so much feeling it in your body. Like, I'm breathing in, and my focus is on bringing air from outside of me in, and then I'm breathing air out, which will kind of be like, you know, when it's cold, you got that mist, right? So you understand you're breathing here, not here right now. I usually find this very easy to do when I'm outside, especially on a wonderful day where there's a lot of smell. So it's like I'm breathing in that smell from out here, and then I'm breathing out. So I usually just pick a spot right here, like somewhere here, right? Guys, Alex, can you mute there? Oh, there you go. Perfect. Okay, great. So it's just like like in front of me. It's not too far. It's here. So I breathe in, and then I breathe out that like a smoke or cold air. Now slowly try to visualize like a distance. So like I'm visualizing now like something a meter away from me now. And as I breathe in, it's like I'm trying to bring that place like closer to me. So it's like I'm trying to suck in that place, like that distance. So a meter away from me, I'm trying to pull air from there into my nose. And then as I breathe out, I'm trying to send air to that spot, which is outside my reach. It's further now. It's like about a meter away from me. And then a little bit further. Now, if you can look at something further, like a picture or something on a desk, and you look at it, and it's like you're breathing from that point. It's like I'm looking at a bottle that's quite a ways from me now, and I'm looking at it. I'm breathing from that point. I'm trying to bring air from that point to my nose. And then as I breathe out, I'm trying to breathe out from my mouth to that point. And now, I don't know how far, but try see as far as I guess you can see, like for me, it's like the end of the wall here. So it's about 5 meters away from me. So I'm breathing in from that point, and I'm breathing out to that point. And obviously, the further it is, the longer the inhale, the longer the exhale, because it has to get there. You have to almost visualize the air like I'm blowing it out. And because it's far, I have to blow more and a little bit longer to get it there. And then when it gets there, I have to breathe in from that point, and it's a longer. So it's another way of working with the length of breath that you take. Awesome. How was it? Did you feel it? Could you feel the distance thing? It's a little bit of visualization, but it's not that, it shouldn't be that hard, because when I think of breathing, I think of air. Like this is the air, it's everywhere, okay? And I can pull air from anywhere I want. I can pull it from there, I can pull it from here, I can pull it from here. And it's coming into my nose and it's coming out. So I'm not thinking about my lungs. I know it's going in my lungs. I know it's going in my belly. This is like the personal version of breathing. Now I want to show you the external version of breathing, right? It's a real outside of me right now, right? So there's the world that's in my head, and then there's the world out there, right? It's important to distinguish between the two, okay? Did you feel that? Could you feel it? A little bit? Thumbs up, no, yes? Okay. Now, a little bit different, but similar idea, right? Instead of thinking length, I'm gonna pay attention to the side of my eye. So I'm looking straight at you, but I can see here, okay? And what I'm gonna do is when I breathe in, I'm bringing air from here in. And when I breathe out, I'm not sending air this way. It's like, I'm opening my mouth and it's going this way. So I'm not making a funnel. I'm letting the air fall out of my mouth this way, like not long. So I'm breathing from air from here. I'm breathing out and I'm relaxing my mouth. Ask me, Eric.
You're doing this imaginarily, Emmanuel, or am I like putting my tongue up so that the air literally goes that way?
It's a great question. There's two ways. When I want to bring air from here, it's like a vacuum. It comes in this way, and it's like it's a right. But when I'm pulling air from the side, right, I don't vacuum it. I just relax, and I let air like work its way in, and then when I'm out, I relax my mouth, and it's like I let air go. It's not a force. I'm not forcing it.
So it's more of it's more of a visualization than it is like a physical.
It is a visual, but have you seen what some people can do with a cigarette? Have you ever seen like some people can make donuts and some people can make swirls and stuff? Like, if you ever watch what somebody can do with a cappuccino, like they can make artwork on the damn espresso, right? It is a visualization, but it's like art of your breath. If you could imagine what air is happening, like, water, we can see when we splash it, what happens, but air is just like water. We just can't visualize it as much. Right?
So when you're breathing in, are you doing breathing in sides through the mouth? Or
yes,
sides through
I'm
the
thinking this.
In through the mouth sides.
Side from the inhale.
Are you putting your tongue up to the roof of your mouth to like split it so it's coming in from the sides more, or like?
My tongue's more in the middle now. I never thought I got a piece of gum in now. I never thought of it. I just because it's not an internal expression. I'm not thinking about anything here. It's all here. Like it's all outside, like it's like, you ever seen a musician play for like not for himself, but for the energy of the crowd? He's like just and he's paying attention to what the crowd is doing. It didn't really for him, it's like he's all there, he's not here. Like this idea of breathing, I don't want it to sound too heebie-jeebie, but it's so cool. Like you can bring air from length or you can bring air from width. It's both the same, but try it anyway. I don't want to lose you guys on this stuff. It's exciting to me because I've played with it so long, and it's you can actually feel it. So try. So as you inhale, relax your nose and it comes in. And then relax your mouth, and it's like a steam almost. It's not like a funnel, but it and then as I breathe in, it's not like a forced sharp direction. It's like a and you will notice that there's a different feeling comes when I bring in a long inhale and a long exhale, like north and south, as compared to when I let an inhale come east and west, and inhale come, it's different mood comes. It's less stressful. When I bring air from everywhere, like as compared to from far, it's different. Okay, good. Now, I want you to take air from one place and give it to another place. So I'm just going to explain to you. So I'm in front of you now. Okay, so I'm going to inhale, and I'm taking air from this place right here. I'm holding my breath. I'm going about 2 meters away, and I'm depositing the air here. Walking back. I'm taking air from this side of the room. I'm depositing it back here. So I want you to do this. Come close to the camera, take air from this place, walk backwards about 2 meters or whatever length you can, and deposit the exhale there. Just go back and we're like a chipmunk, taking the nut from here and depositing it over there. Don't rush, guys, really. These are long breaths. Don't think of your lungs. Think of, I visualize there is air here. I'm taking it from here and I'm putting it there. There's a pile of rocks. I'm taking it from here to there, but it's air. It's very important. North and south, backwards and forwards, not left and right. That's different. Backwards and forwards. Now reverse. All the air I put over here, I exhaled all my air over here. Now I'm going to breathe in. I'm going to walk forward and deposit the air back here. So I'm bringing the air back to where it came from. Good. So remember, guys, the idea is you would see this clearly if I had 10 stones over here and I said, take those 10 stones and put them over there. You would physically see that. It's the same, but with air. I'm moving air from one side of the room to the back of the room, okay? It's you got to visualize it. You're literally taking air from here and putting it here, okay? It's like it's the same with energy. Air and energy are interchangeable. So if you understand the energy of a room, like if ever I learn something, I get all this energy and then I want to give it to you guys. Like I want to give it, like I physically can give it. You see a teacher that's inspired, wants to take the excitement and they feel inside, they want to give it to you. Like if you don't know how to do that, you will never be a good teacher, right? You need to be able to give energy, and energy is breath. So this is the same thing. So now left and right. Now left and right are a tiny bit different. That's why I separated it. So I'm on, let's say one side here, right? I'm going to breathe in and then I'm going to go to the other side a little bit and I'm going to breathe out. It doesn't have to be far. I mean, it can be a couple of meters at least, right? From one room to now at home, you can take air from one room and give it to another room, like walk out of the room, go to another room, deposit the air there, and then bring it back and forth. Like you can actually leave a room and physically do it. But from now, whatever room you're in, go to one side and then deposit it on the other side. Yep. Now switch it up. So I deposited air on the right side. Now I'm going to take it from this side and bring it back to the other side. Did you feel that, guys? How was it? Did you feel it? Could you feel it? Any difference between left and right? Did you notice anything? If not, it's fine. I'm just asking you to play with it. You see how breathing now takes on an external component. It's not about, oh, my lungs and breathe. Now it's like here and there. It's like a rock. Take a rock from this pile, put it over here. Take it from there, put it over here. It's external. We're dealing with air outside of ourselves and literally bringing it from one side. So it's outside, which is the important part. It's the external or offensive version of what we're living. We're breathing outside of ourselves. That means not the defensive one inside ourselves. Does that make sense or no, guys? I don't want to lose you with this. Just ask me if you clarify. You got it? Okay, good. Good. Now, I'll leave you with this. If you, as a teacher, the room is never equally balanced. It's never. There might be more aggressive people on one side, or maybe calmer people on the other side, or the room is not balanced somehow, right? You feel energy is not there. And it's possible to, as a teacher, take energy from one side and give it to the other. But you got to really know, and breathing is one way of doing it. But when the room is harmonious, when the room feels good, you don't go left, right, backwards, and forwards, but you walk around in a circle. And that's the way you kind of really, I guess, you know, it's like, you know, when I'm sanding something, if you ever sand something, you find the rough spot, you sand it, right? But when you're really getting to the fine tuning, you make circles. Like that really smooths it. So when the room is, look, I have this experience, not so much at the Fight Club because I know people, but when I teach a seminar overseas, I don't know everybody. And the room always is unbalanced with different people from different places in certain areas. The idea is that when everybody mixes, you get a better, so what I do is usually start that taking energy from one side to the other. I don't tell anybody, I'm sharing it with you so you have some insight into the world that I'm talking about. But when I find that good balance, then I walk in a circle and you observe, and the energy starts to become more everywhere than it is. And you'll often see it with any of the good teachers. If there's an imbalance in one side of the room, you might see the teacher spend more time on that side. It's very interesting to understand a room as an energy and an energy as breath. These are important concepts for you to understand. Does that make sense? It's good. I'll leave it like that, and I'll just want you to play with it. And you can play with it at home. You can play with it at work. You can play with it when you go out. It's super interesting. Now it's hard because nowadays, I guess with everybody in these different situations, it's interesting to see the worry energy or the unsure energy with people, right? Grab a knife, guys. Grab a knife now. Let's try something different. So grab a knife. So a little bit of pre-story so you understand where I'm coming from. Okay, I've done martial arts a long time, but I also worked when I was younger at a grocery store. And at that grocery store, I did almost every job. I was a butcher. I worked in the fish department. I worked in the meat department. I worked in the vegetables and fruit. And you always had a knife because you had to cut the fruit or cut the boxes open or cut the meat, or you always had a knife in your hand and you used it as a tool. And in martial arts, it was always a defensive thing, like, you know, but then at the grocery store, I had to physically cut meat. I had to this, and you started to use the weapon or the tool in an offensive way. I wasn't thinking of martial arts. I was using the weapon outside. I had it on me all the time. If I had to cut a box, I cut the box, I folded it and I put it away. You know, then I had another knife. Oh, I have to go work in the meat department. Okay, this is different styles of knife, fillet knife, a big cleaver for the big pieces of meat. And I never once thought about a defensive act. It was offensive. I got to do something with this thing. And then when I came across Systema, this concept of play is very important. I was playing with the knife at work. I was using it. I was something, right? So I want you to take the knife now. Don't see it as a weapon that you're going to fear. I want you to kind of play with it a little bit and use it, right? And use it any way you like, but just don't be too random with it. Be kind of specific, like, like you need it for some job, right? You need to cut a box, cut a piece of meat, whatever it is that you're going to do with it. But the knife is an offensive thing. I don't want you to think about anything defensive at all. Just start to make some moves with it, cutting motions. It didn't matter what it is that you did with it, right? But you let the knife go. You didn't hold it back. You're not trying to pretend like you're stabbing a guy in the neck or something. You just make movements, right? You make all kinds of movements. The only thing is don't hit yourself. That's the most important, like, right? Alex, right? This is the most important, regardless of what you do. 99% of the time, it's an accident anyway, right? And what I like to do is, like, I'll use my hand, like, without the knife, right? So I try to kind of, like, I'm using my hand without the knife now, right? I'm just doing this, but I don't feel, and then I put the knife back in and I want it to feel the same. I don't want anything to have changed. Like, I get rid of the knife. I'm just like, slapping or kind of motions with my hand. I'm not thinking of, hitting somebody. I'm just making movements with my arm. And the same idea, right? With a knife. And you can switch the hands. Change the grip too. Sometimes like different grips is nice, right? For you. So sometimes without the knife, then put the knife, it should still feel the same. There should be no difference. Awesome. Okay, now say to yourself, now try to, like, it's really good if you can do this in a mirror. I mean, I know you don't have one maybe now, but it's always good to do this in a mirror. Just interesting, there's a, in boxing, everybody practices in the front of the mirror, right? And there's some interesting, how can I say, perspectives there. I don't know if you've ever heard this quote where it said, a boxer, his shadow fights. It's kind of a deeper thing. It's like your fears or your shadow is kind of what you fight. You have an opponent, but really you're fighting your own shadows, right? When you look in the mirror, you really do see yourself and you see these things that worry you. This is what was so interesting. Like, so at the beginning, a boxer, he's looking in a mirror and he sees himself, but he sees the opponent. He tries to imagine the opponent. But then later, the opponent disappears and he just sees himself. He sees his shadow. He sees what worries him, right? With a knife now, I want you to look, and look, I'm looking in the camera and I'm sure you can see yourselves too. And with the knife now, you start to make what you would deem a cut to exactly the spot that you want. So I'm thinking about left and right now. I'm thinking about up and down. I'm thinking about direct, right? Any way that you would use the knife against yourself, or I guess a person, but for now you're looking at yourself, right? Think of how you would use the knife, right? Think about it. How would you cut? Where would you cut? How would you do it? How hard? Pressure? The whole bit, right? What are the moves like? I'm not angry. It's not like a worry thing. I'm not thinking about blood and stuff. It's nothing like that. But I'm trying to put myself, okay, now as a martial artist and I have this tool, how will I deploy it? Okay. So you can cut to the legs, you can cut to the stomach, you can cut to the chest, armpit, ribs, right? Neck, of course, face, cheeks, scalp, you name it. So these are the brutal ways of studying, right? Like it's kind of, I don't know, very kind of mean and stuff. But now say to yourself, okay, I have this weapon, but how can I use this in a way that maybe it wasn't intended? So side of the knife, right? Handle of the knife, not just the pointy and sharp parts, but think about other things you can do. You could slap somebody in the face with the side of the knife. You could hit with the handle towards a collarbone or to the ribs or to the temple or to the nose, right? Think about other things that you can do with this weapon. Think about it, right? So that it's not just like one-sided. It's not just hurting or killing, but that you can use it as one piece, right? There's lots of things that you can do with the knife, right? You can hit to the groin with the flat end, not just the sharp end. You can hit towards elbow, hit towards the face, hit towards the top of the head, like especially with the side of the weapon and the handle, right? So start to think about using it in a maybe non-lethal way, right? Or the maybe unconventional way of how to use it, right? This is important, right? Now focus kind of beside you. So the motions are coming to left and right. So it's remember, it's an expression of the weapon, but left and right. It's a little bit different than in front of you, right? So, and I don't care. It can be like the lethal version. It could also be the non-lethal version. I don't care, but I don't want you to worry about it. This is this is a skill set, right? We're studying how to be offensive with the knife without being aggressive, but just with knowledge and with understanding, right? And even behind you as well, right? Side you, behind you, beside you, behind you. So you really learn how to work with a weapon from all places, you know? Okay, stay nice and straight. So have the knife in like one hand low, right? And what I want you to do is imagine drawing a figure 8 beside you. So on the ground, right? Like not on the ground, but low, right? And I want you to feel how see how my body starts to kind of move like with it. So I'm creating a figure 8. And then very slowly, I'm going to start to move the letter 8 beside me. So now instead of the 8 being here, the 8's beside me. What's interesting about like the infinity symbol, it's very fluid and it just relaxes me, I guess. I don't know. I find it a very interesting move. It's not a stop, but it's a movement that gives on to itself. If the body is relaxed, the movement starts to give on to itself, right? And then you can do the figure 8 in front of you too, right? So it's like there's now a figure 8 directly in front of me. So the figure 8 can be low to the ground. It can be high to the air. It can be right in front of me, or it can be beside me. So you just play with that shape of the figure 8. It can be above you, in front of you, beside you, behind you, below you, doesn't matter. And what I want you to do is try to feel the weight of the weapon. Like try to feel, as I'm moving here, I'm not trying to think about cutting people or bad situations, but I'm trying to feel that I can feel the weight of this weapon in my arm. I can feel it, that I'm moving in such a way that I can feel the weapon in my arm. And that what's really moving this is not my trying, but just the sheer weight of it is moving. And of course you can switch your hands if you need to, right? And try to pass the figure 8 from one hand to the other so that you're making 1 8 on one side, 1 8 on the other side, 1 8 on one side, 1 8 on the other side. Good, okay. Put your hands like this, right? So put the hand in one knife, so watch. Then it goes back, it comes up, I give it. So the knife interchains in front of me and goes back. So it's a backward stabbing motion, but it's just literally falling with gravity. It's here, I give it, it goes, and it goes from left to right, from left to right. And just feel the weight of that motion. Just feel the weight. Try with your eyes closed. Try to just feel the motion. Feel the weight of the knife taking it back, down and back. Bring it up, down. And gravity kind of brings it down. Eyes closed, really feel these movements. Good. So start with the a knife here. So it's above you, right? It goes back, it goes up, and you switch. Back, up, back, up, back, up. And you feel that swing, that momentum of the arm goes down, it wants to come up. Down, up, down, up. Don't think of stabbing, just think of transferring from one hand to the other and just the weight of the arm going down and swinging back up. Now take that feeling and forward, back, forward, back. Don't add anything extra. Don't add any extra. It is a stabbing motion, but just think of more forward, right? And let the arm just literally swing forward and then change it. Swing forward, come back, switch. One after the other. Just try to get into like a flow of a knife going back and out, back and out, back and out. Good. Take a deep breath in, out, in, out. So hold the weapon in your hand now, like leave it in your hand, but try to see if you can almost make it disappear. Like it's in your hand, but you try to not think about it as much, just kind of see if you can just, I don't want to say forget about it, but something like that. All weapons have a very strong, like these are training weapons, so they're not as strong, but all weapons have a very strong energy about them. And you need to always make sure that it doesn't control you. So the training one's not as powerful, of course, but you have to remember you gave this weapon life, and you can decide to give it as much energy and as much reality as you want. Try to just now, don't give it any at all. Don't give that weapon, even though you're holding it, don't give it any life. And you can switch the hand too, feel something different. Awesome. Put the knife down for a second, just wherever it is. Okay. So step back from the camera just a little bit. Okay. I want you to take one big step forward. Okay. Stop. Now take one big step backwards, okay? Now pay attention if anything changed. I'm here. I'm just taking one step and I'm here. One step. And then take a step back. I don't believe any of you sensed the change in between that one step and that step. I don't believe it, but I want you to try this now. You're gonna make a big clap right here, okay? So just watch me first. Make a big clap, and then I walk into this clap. And see if you can detect the difference, anything, and take a step back. Take a breath, feel it, make a big clap, and then walk into that sound. That area should feel a little bit different for you. Okay, it should feel a little bit different. Take a step back, relax yourself. It's not, don't get blown away by the acoustics. Okay, you're disturbing this place in front of you. And step forward.
There's a vibration kind of thing.
It is definitely a vibration.
Energy, full of energy.
There's definitely energy. Now, what I want you guys to really understand, this is a very unique training, because usually when people make a big sound, people stop. Like if I were to walk up to people, you know, let's say, and just go, they would, like, for a second, they would stop. They, you know, it's just, hey, wake up. Like, it stops people, right? You're now teaching yourself to go forward through this, to go through this, because this is an important thing for courage, that you have to be able to go take a step forward into this stuff. It's like everything will say stop, but you need to take a step forward. And it's the energy that's different. When you make a big clap, it disturbs, there's a vibration that's been changed. It's a vibrational thing, and you're stepping into it, okay? You're stepping into it not as a know-it-all, you're stepping into it with curiosity. You're stepping into it with opportunity. You're stepping into the chaos and understanding that there's a lot there, okay? So there are some people that thrive, because there's an old saying, where there's chaos, there's opportunity. And this is chaos, this big slap, and you're walking into it. It's a very interesting place, because this is a paradigm of martial arts. It's chaotic. A lot of people saw Systema and it was chaotic, and they were scared to go into it because they couldn't make sense of it. There's a lot of those metaphors in life. There's chaos, but still we need the bravery to go forward. So nice and easy, make a big clap. It disrupts this area, walk into it and see if you can detect the difference. See if you can detect, like, that clap would have upset the energy in that one little area in front of you. Can you walk into it? And then do you feel that difference? Very subtle. I don't know how successful you'll be, but you're going to try it. It's almost like a residual energy. Some of the residual energy. How was it, guys? Eric, did you feel it? Could you feel a little bit of that energy stuff? Could you, or no?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time knowing whether, or getting a sense of whether I'm really feeling it or I'm imagining I'm feeling it. So I clapped to the side and I went to the other side to see if I could feel a difference if I avoided that spot, and then if I went into that spot.
Interesting.
because I feel like I can feel it, but I also know that I'm going to play with my confirmation bias and trick myself into believing that, and I want to falsely believe it.
It's so, you made it so much harder for yourself. Just, as long as you can even grasp like a tenth of this, I'm happy, guys. Just understand that when there's a loud sound or a flash, it disrupts much more than just you. It disrupts the energy in the area. This is super important, right? I'm sure you've met people like this, right? That disrupt the energy of a room or the energy of a place, right? Just interesting to understand and to train yourself. Just maybe step forward through it, and or step towards it, which is really interesting, right? The ultimate is when we see the light. Are you going to go towards it? Yeah. How do you feel, guys? How do you feel? Is it good? You feel okay? Did you kind of
feeling great.
understand? There's this area. There's this area where I don't want you to study martial arts from a defensive perspective, okay? I want you to study it as an offensive thing, not as an aggressive thing, but that you're an artist and that you should be able to express your art in the happiest possible way. And that means taking a step forward. That means saying what's on your mind. That means expressing yourself as an outward thing, not as an inward worry, right? Like, just imagine if I say to somebody, I come to your schools or come to your place and I have somebody attack you, what will I witness? Will I witness your worries when I watch you work as you're doing a takedown? Will I see your worry, or will I see your skills? Will I see your comfort? What will I see? In most cases, it's people's worries and doubts because they're not really comfortable expressing themselves in an offensive way. They're not. They're just not comfortable. And that, because that's hard work. That's really hard work, right? Whenever I watch a really good leader, he's able to be brutally honest with people, but not mean, not be a prick about it. He's able to express that you're not as good as you thought, but you need to be better. And you didn't, and he delivered in a way that didn't demean you. Whereas when I see a leader that's not very good, he criticizes everybody and he demeans people, and it's a totally different feel, right? This is the important thing. Your skills not only need to take care of the situation, they need to not agitate yourself, not aggravate yourself. So you need to be more comfortable being offensive. So when you punch people, you need to have happy thoughts. You need to be able to hit a person and you realize that person needs to say, I need to become a better person, right? Not, I need to punch that son of a bitch back, right? That's usually what ends up happening, right? So whenever, as a teacher, whenever I hit people hard, I only want nothing but them to grow and to facilitate a change in perspective and growth. And that was hard at the beginning because when people watch it looks like I'm punching the guy out because he's not listening to me, but that's not it at all, right? And this is very important. How do you deliver a hard message, but with a good undertone? And for some reason, I can feel it. I can feel it, you know? And it's just something you have to practice with, right? So more time with a weapon, because weapons are they're so powerful, right? They got a powerful energy about them, a gun, a knife, whatever it is, and you use it in the happiest way possible, in like just making movements. I'm not thinking, and then I think about cutting, but I'm not thinking, and I think, oh, what else can I do? I can hit with it, I can do different things. And I'm trying to get comfortable with the knife so that if I have it in my hand, I can decide to slap, I can decide to cut, or I can decide to hit, depending how I feel, because I'm comfortable with this weapon. That's the most important thing. It's not just the only thing I can do with it is kill somebody or cut my apple. Like those are the only two. That's the only range I have of my skills with the knife. It's so many more skills that you can apply with the knife. And the same as I showed you with the breathing, it's not just about filling up the lungs. It's not just about filling up the stomach. It's about understanding the air comes from here to here, from here to there. There's an exchange, right? The lungs are not merely filling up, guys. This is not a visualization. The lungs are filling up. They're pushing oxygen into the bloodstream, and that bloodstream is carrying it to the whole body. So when you breathe, you are breathing to your whole body. You are. Like, that's a fact. So there is a visualization component. I think it's more of you really understanding completely that I don't just breathe the air that's here. I breathe the air that's there too. I just didn't see it as much, if that makes sense, okay? You got to really see breathing as something different. Okay, and when you understand breathing, you understand energy. When you understand energy, that's powerful. That's the energy work that you see really interesting people do, right? They have a good skill set, I guess. We will continue this on Wednesday, I promise you, okay? Keep working with it, guys. Please be offensive in the nicest possible way, because that's the best way of living life. It really is. Go for it, but don't be fanatical. Just go for it, okay? Don't be too worried. Be external, okay? Thank you, guys. I'll see you Wednesday.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Peace.
Thank you, Renee. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Planning. See you Wednesday.
Everybody.